First of all, Carolyn, thank you for the invite to sit down and talk about something that I really like to talk about, which is healthcare. And I don't know if you guys Carolyn just gave you this. Anybody read this yet? No. This is something that came across. What the Trump administration is doing is attempting to corrupt Medicare, just like Medicare Advantage is corrupt. So before I get started, how many people here are on Medicare Advantage right now? Medicare Advantage, who else is on Medicare Advantage? Okay, great. There's not much, the way they sell Medicare Advantage is like, it's the best thing since apple pie. I know how you guys went into that room and they told you, hey, you can get dental, you can get your ears, all of that, very little deductible, no co-pays, some of them have co-pays, etc. All of that is great. All of that is really, really good if you happen to tie on to a good plan. Or if the corporation that is providing that care is a good corporation. I can't blame or tell anybody that they made the wrong decision for having gone with Medicare Advantage. The problem is, while you may have a good Medicare Advantage plan, most people in America won't. And the truth of the matter is, for every person that is on Medicare Advantage, they're actually denying other people better service on traditional Medicare. It costs a lot more. For every single person on Medicare Advantage, it costs the taxpayer, the government, all of us, a lot more to be on Medicare Advantage than on traditional Medicare. Quick little story. In the past, before the Johnson era, nobody wanted to insure older people. As you got older, nobody wanted to touch you. The private companies didn't want to touch you. You were too damn old. Not only that, you cost too much money because you get sicker than younger people. That's the deal. Now the government said, we the people, and by the way, we are the government, we the people said, you know what? I want to make sure that our people have health care. So as it turns out, nobody wanted to insure older people. So we the people, the government said, we are going to do it. And they applied that 3% tax that everybody pays on your wages, and that goes into a fund, and it funds everybody's care. Well, these corporations that in the past thought that you cost too much money to insure, they see a government that is collecting money, ready to insure older folks, and they said, you know what? We can make a buck. And to make that buck, what they did is they went ahead and paid off politicians to say, let's add something to traditional Medicare called Medicare Part what? Medicare Part C. Medicare Part C ain't Medicare. All of you on Medicare Advantage are on private health care. I'm on private health care right now. It's the worst thing since apple pie because I got to get pre-authorizations before I do certain things. All of these things that apply is what applies to Medicare Advantage. Why? Because Medicare Advantage is a private insurance. It's not government-based insurance. And what is required in private insurance? Some fat cat out here has to make money. So if you are not generating money for somebody, what are they going to do to those plans? They'll cut the plan. So everybody that love your plan right now, be happy. But if your plan that you are on Medicare Advantage right now starts to lose money, guess what happens? They'll cut that plan and shift you to another plan that is making you money. So that is the first thing that we need to know about Medicare Advantage. So now here's the thing. What I try to tell everybody is, if you're on Medicare Advantage and it's working out good for you, I love it, accept it, etc. But you have to be on the same bandwagon that I am on, that all activists are on, that says, help us get rid of Medicare Advantage, help us get rid of private health care, and help us get, what is the thing that we all want for real? The only thing that will work, Medicare for all. And let's not call it free. Medicare for all is not free.
Boy, nothing free.
Nothing free. We are paying for it with that 3%. If we jump that baby to 4%, everybody in America can have good health care if we kick the corporations out. What do corporations do for health care? What service do they provide? Why do you have several different insurance companies? Can anybody tell me that?
Privatization for profit thing.
Right, and you know what? You know how they define it? They say this. We want to give you choice. My people used to be slaves. Do you think I had a choice or love a choice between who's my slave master?
Nope.
Do you think that's a choice? That's how it is with private health care. Private health care says, who do you want to be master? Who do you want to be your master? They have turned all of us into slaves. And until we get that in our heads and start saying, okay, I've got it now. You've got good health, good private health care at the expense of everybody else. So we have to work together to really go ahead and start talking about how do we work together to kick the butt of this system. Now, here's what Donald Trump wants to do with good government-based Medicare. You know that thing called pre-authorizations? Traditional Medicare did not have any serious pre-authorization. Everybody here know what pre-authorization means? Where if you need to get a stitch, you go to the insurance company and you say, hey, insurance company, can I ask your permission to get a stitch? Well, traditional Medicare didn't have that. Donald Trump is saying, how can we get more people to go to private insurance? Make sure that traditional Medicare looks exactly like the sorry state of private insurance. Now they're doing a pilot program in I think 6 states. I've been reading about this for a while. They have a pilot program in 6 states to determine whether how it would work if we apply this same lousy technique to private healthcare. To government healthcare. The thing about it is, these are things that we have to stop. We made the mistake and elected this guy, and well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Election has consequences.
Yeah.
For everybody who sat down at home and said, "I just can't vote for Kamala." Oh, for whatever reasons, we all know the real reasons Kamala lost, but for whatever reasons Kamala lost, all the people that voted against her, all the people that stayed home, they brought us this.
Yeah, really.
This is what they brought us. They brought us they brought all of our demise that we have to fight for. Now, it's not all gone, right? Because we only have to live with this for 2 years, right? Because what I mean is the following. We can put a wrench in the gear in 2026, where nothing happens till 2028. We have the ability to do that, but we have to get there. And to get there, we have to have a story to tell. And the story that we have to tell is, the good thing about it is we're in a room full of voters. Older folk vote. Older folk vote.
Yep.
And older folk tell stories and people believe, and older folk talking to older folk work. Everybody needs to know these stories, and everybody needs to be talking about these stories with their friends and talk about exponential progression. What that means is when you talk to your friends and tell them the things that you learn about Medicare Advantage, whether they are on Medicare Advantage or not, let them know that what they're voting for in the next election is their survival. Whether they're on Medicare Advantage or not, it doesn't matter. Because as soon as traditional Medicare becomes Medicare Advantage, there's no more competition. The private companies have a hold and they can do as they please. So we have to get there. Now, let me just give you some caveats for those that are on Medicare Advantage. If you're on Medicare Advantage and they don't want to provide the services that you need, let's say you have whatever problem you have no choice. But if they close a plan down, let's say you're on a plan on Medicare Advantage and they shut it down, that is your opportunity to move back to traditional Medicare. And without paying the penalty for, there's something called, I forgot the name of it, but you have to go through the tables whether you qualify for Medigap. If you don't do it within 6 months of your period, Medigap is almost, if you're older, you almost can never get it at an affordable price. But if they change the plan on you, that gives you the option to go ahead and go back to traditional Medicare. As well, if you're in a rural area and there's nobody offering a plan, or your plan shut down, you can go back to Medicare. That's the only opt-out that you get after not choosing traditional Medicare. But for those who can, and there are other things to consider, of course. There are some people who simply cannot afford a Medigap plan that goes along with their Medicare. In that case, they have no choice but to go with the Medicare Advantage. We got screwed in that the government has made it such that Medicare Advantage plans can actually offer plans that are zero deductible, zero copay, zero everything. And there's no Medicare traditional that offers that. So there are a few loopholes in there that they leave for that, but our ultimate goal is then to fight to make sure that we get rid of private insurance altogether and we get Medicare for all, which means the following. If you have Medicare for all, guess what you get? You get a chance to choose whoever you want to be your doctor. Guess what else you get? If your doctor says that this is the medicine they want you to have, generic or not, that's what you get. And whatever your doctor thinks is best for your care is what you get under traditional Medicare. With private insurance, they don't care about your person, your whatever it is. They make a deal with a drug company, and those are the drugs that we'll use on you. And if you don't want it, by all means, go pay for it on your own. The company owns you. You become a slave to the corporation as we are right now. So in a short closing here, I want to say the following. Please, the advertising that they put out for Medicare Advantage, a lot of times they don't even call it Medicare Advantage. They call it Medicare Part C. So it looks like it's a part of it. You know, you have Part A, hospitalization, Part B for doctors. Part C is everything. It's all a gimmick. You never, when you're going forward, if you absolutely can afford it, you should never get Part C going forward. The advertising that they do, if you notice, every time you turn on your TV, whether it's cable, regular TV, or not, what do you see? A Medicare commercial. Right. These are not Medicare commercials. These are Medicare Advantage, private insurance commercials. Nothing more. That's what you're seeing on TV. And guess what? If they have the money, those commercials are not cheap. Those commercials are very expensive. That tells you how much profit there is, your money, the profit from your money into Medicare Advantage. So please inform your friends. And again, like I said, there are times, yes, sir.
Go ahead, finish what you're saying.
Yeah, there are times that some people, the only option they have is Medicare Advantage. But let me just tell you, if you have the option otherwise, please tell your friends who are not yet on Medicare, stay away from Medicare Advantage like it is the class. All right, you had a question.
I like that.
Yeah. Most of what you said is accurate, but for those of us who actually have a program through the employee retirement system,
Yes,
which is a Texas.
I know what it is. Yeah.
Well, I know you do, but I'm helping for those who may not know.
Yeah.
And so if you got onto that plan early, because the state decided that they could offer a very comprehensive plan
Yes.
for state employees who are retiring. And as someone who's been on that plan for a long time, I'm very pleased with what I get, and I pay very little out of pocket, and the pharmaceuticals are also at a reasonable rate. But that applies again to if you're part of that system. Maybe teachers may have the teacher system may have a retirement system may have a similar sort of thing. I'm not sure if they do or they don't. Basically, they got to make their own deals, is what they did. But I've heard a lot of complaints that you have said about private policies.
Right.
So that's a concern. But if you have to make sure that whether you're on a private policy or whether you're part of a union, for example, that has, or a state agency that has said, we want to give you these options, or not just options, the benefits for, given that you worked so much and didn't get much paid very much as a state employee.
Right.
We're gonna, but your benefits are really excellent afterwards. So I just want to throw that in.
Okay, I first of all, let me just tell you that what you said is 100% correct, and it's also 100% the problem. And the reason it is the problem is that if we have you happy, you are happy at the expense of others. Okay? So, I do that a lot on my radio show. I tell people, when people call me and tell me how great your program is, I say, you know what? I have great insurance under my wife's plan too, but I know I'm doing it at the expense of others. So what I'm saying is, enjoy your program, like your program, but the one thing that we need out of you and everybody else is to fight against the program.
Or to fight for this Medicare for all.
Exactly. And the reason why is we are not looking for the individual. We're looking for absolutely everybody. Yes, ma'am.
I have my insurance through a retiree from ExxonMobil.
Mhm.
And it's pretty good, blah, 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 this, that, and the other, fairly affordable, blah, blah, blah. But that would never stop me from Medicare insurance for all,
Right.
never. My daughter-in-law is from Newfoundland.
Mhm.
She is not a citizen. They have what in Canada?
Medicare for all. Yes, Canada is a great place for
Right.
Canada, Taiwan, France, all these places, much better. Go ahead, ma'am.
Also, when you have insurance through Exxon, they're very clear that if you ever get off, you never get back on. I'm like, okay. So when you get a thing from where else, it might change whatever. Our insurance might change, but they also supplement it.
Right.
But that also means if they supplement what they're giving us, they can also take away the supplement.
Thank you. You know what?
Which happened when we had our insurance through our local union. They quit paying the supplement, therefore went on Exxon insurance.
No, what Carolyn just said is probably the most important thing said thus far. And that is, when you have a private system, they have the right to take it away from you. When you are in a we the people system, the government-based healthcare, one of the reasons that everybody wants to tell you government is bad government, right? If they need you to have that in your psyche so that other people will say, okay, well, we should go private, as if there's something inherently good about private. Look, I love a pizza shop, and I don't want the government running a pizza shop. I love to go and get me some cappuccino and all that good stuff.
Nice.
I don't want the government doing all that stuff. But when it comes to my health care, I don't want to put it on people who depend on profit for my damn health. And I think we have to change our frame of thinking in such a manner that we don't go out there and fall for the commercials are great on TV. Nice smiling people, handsome young man, handsome young woman, beautiful, the best thing since apple pie. You notwithstanding, but other people, they go through hell. And I know enough people. On my show, I get the calls from, I'll tell you a quick story. I got a call from a woman once. Her mother was in the nursing care. And she thought she had Medicare. What she had was Medicare Advantage. And they were throwing her out of the nursing home.
Ouch.
Okay? And she fought it. They denied her. So I tell you what, you call them back and tell them you're telling this story nationally. And she said, okay. She called them back a week later. Her mother was back in the nursing home. It's all, the whole entire system is a racket. But we all have to know it's a racket, and we have to be telling other people it's a racket, because I'm telling you, the ads are very good. Anything else before I think?
But just said,
Yes.
one of the reasons that originally went with Medicare Advantage was because Medicare did not offer, maybe deliberately did not offer a catastrophic care
Yes.
option.
Yes.
Because traditional Medicare pays what, 80%?
80%.
But what if it's cash?
If it's $1 million, you're
Right.
$200,000.
Oh, I
Yes.
don't have that kind of money.
And that's what I'm saying. Our fight, right, is the reason it doesn't have those coverages is the private companies. When Bernie Sanders and all these guys come out and say, let's have coverage for ears, then even if we ask for a little bit of money for it, ears, dental, and ears, eyes, and dental. Bernie Sanders goes, so let's add that to traditional Medicare. Oh, no, because that puts you in competition with the private sector. When it comes to having a cap on the 20% is what you're talking about. You need a cap on the 20%. Guess who gets a cap on the 20%? The private insurance companies. Okay, so you're absolutely right about that. And I see that. Now, the Medigap covers by the way, the Medigap covers that you're talking about.
But it's privately, it's in the separate.
They always give
insurance cost.
the government takes 80%, and that 20% is by the private company again. And what we need to do is kick the private company out. It's a clear and present danger.
I enjoyed my free healthcare in Panama when I lived there.
You were in Panama?
2 years.
Oh yeah, el seguro social.
Mhm.
Perfecto eso. I love this woman.
And it cost me $5.
Yes, and in Panama, if you go on TikTok and all of that, now you see people who are in Panama and they say, my daughter she broke her leg and all of that, and the care was $35. They just set her leg, put her in a cast, $35. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
So when they say that Medicare costs too much, Medicare for all costs too much, I think Mexico has it, Medicare for all, so you get covered by Medicare.
Let me explain how they do it, right? This is the thing. This is the thing. Medicare, the lie that they tell all of us is that Medicare for all is more expensive. And they said, just look at when Bernie, as people tried it in Vermont. Here's the problem. Right now, all of us who are paying private insurance, you may be paying $7,000 to $12,000 to $15,000 to $16,000 a year, right? That's what you may be paying. Now, what Bernie and them were saying is, okay, if we implement Medicare Advantage, your taxes are going to have to go up. But nobody wants to raise taxes. But what they don't tell you is as we raise your taxes, you no longer pay health insurance.
Extra.
So therefore, consider if these people were smart in marketing, they would have said, we're not charging you a tax. We're the one providing you a premium. And that premium compared to the premium that we have from the private insurance is going to be half. Because right now, as it turns out, check this out. America has about, depending on how you count it, 15 to 20% of Americans are not covered by health insurance. That's sad, that's criminal, but that's what it is, okay? Now, if you go with Medicare Advantage, there's so much money in the system. If you went with Medicare Advantage, you could cover 100% of Americans and save $500 billion a year. That's just the numbers. And the fact that, and by the way, this is where I blame Democrats. Brother Phil, I know you're a committee man. I'm a Democrat. I'm a precinct chair, so I can speak against my party too. But here's the deal.
The truth is still going to be the truth.
The truth is going to be the truth. Democrats should be out there not thinking the American population is stupid. And what they're doing is telling the American population they're stupid. Because they want you to believe that somehow paying an executive millions, having several different databases to control people, having to have several companies and several buildings can somehow be cheaper than having a few bureaucrats in Washington and a few bureaucrats in other offices not making millions of dollars, and somehow administering healthcare is going to be cheaper. When we know administering Medicare for all costs 3%. You know what it costs to do private insurance? 18% minimum.
Wow.
Minimum. And we live with that. We live with that because very few people are willing to buck the system, and many of our politicians are actually paid off. So, anything else anybody would like to ask?
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
When you're talking about the private versus for all, I see this as a mathematical equation, but we only get a small part of it. There's plus and minus in that equation that equals to why you want to get Medicare for all. So if you say it's a premium, somebody's gonna back down. If you get the whole story, that's longer, so by the time you get to the whole story, people dropped out, they're not listening.
You know, and
Hearing, but they're not listening.
you know something, and that is something that all of us have. I'm trying to learn that myself. How do you keep people's attention long enough for the vampires?
Slap like that, okay.
For the vampires not to take over, and it's something that we have to learn. So I mean, I have to learn that. So anything else? Yes, ma'am.
So what is this negative thing that Trump wants to do with Medicare? When is that going to be voted on?
I'm pretty sure it's already. It's not. It doesn't have to be voted on. It's a
It's
test.
a pilot program, it's just
It's
gonna
a
go
pilot
into
program.
effect.
Change in the program
Yeah.
already?
They're just going to 6
It's a
states
pilot.
and they're going to try to
Check it
see how it works in 6 states. And guess what? It's actually going to save money in 6 states because you know how private insurance companies save money, right?
Is Texas one of those 6 states?
I think it is. They deny coverage.
No.
That's how you save money.
They're doing a lot of
Yes,
that.
sir.
If I'm not mistaken, what
also part of
we
the
just
equation.
experienced from the passage of Trump's crappy bill, that those effects are not gonna happen until after the general election in 2026. So the big bill is gonna hit after November next year.
The effects going into
I want
effect.
to.
As we're going now, because of the pilot program and other things, they're already happening now.
Right.
So you're seeing what those effects are going to be on all of us.
And let me just say that corporation, Philip is 100% right. The official letter of the bill doesn't come into existence until after the election in 2026.
And everybody's gonna forget about it between now and then.
But here's the
Not
fun part.
everybody, but bunch.
Let me tell you what's a good part, because it started happening. The good part is this: corporations can't wait till the 26th, so they have to start planning on what happens on the 26th. So it started in Virginia. In Virginia, guess what happens? Everything that we said would happen started. They've already closed 3 hospitals. Guess where those hospitals were? Rural areas. On August 5th, a woman, her name was Rachel, conservative, very right-wing Republican, writes an op-ed in the New York Times. And she says, oh my God, my son is on Medicaid right now, and the Medicaid also pays me, this conservative woman, Medicaid pays her to take care of her son. And with the program that Donald Trump just passed, they are cutting the program. And because her state is dependent on that program, they've already started to cut her. Read the article, it's in the New York Times. A conservative woman points it out. So they're starting to do it. So these are going to be our allies if we play the cards right. But we
They
have
should
to.
have told her the Democrats did that, and then maybe she would have bought that.
Yeah, but you know what we have to do right now, right? What we have to do is, again, all your neighbors that are right wing, even the ones that aren't telling you, right? You don't have to go in a political way and talk to these folks. You just have to tell them about these stories. Hey, check out that story in the New York Times. Did you see what this conservative woman said about what's happening to her? Stories are the best thing. You tell a story, it makes a lot more sense than me saying, guess what? Yeah, a true story. Yeah, you tell a true story. You're right about that. But it's much better than me saying, hey, Phil, 10% of Americans are without health care. And if we increase this by $500 billion,
It's already half asleep for you.
people are gone. They're going to sleep.
Right.
But if you can tell a story about how it actually affects somebody, like,
You voted for the person who's making this
and
happen.
let me give my brother here a hard time. That's why when he gave that story, those are the most dangerous stories there are. Because what happens is that people say, wait, so if he could have such a good experience, then maybe.
But that's not the whole picture.
I know.
Like my part, I know the whole picture.
Yes, but you're not. You're an exception.
Thank you.
You're an exception. What we have to do, what we have to do is make people. We have to make him less of the exception and you less of the exception, so that other people can actually see what life is really like under this oppression. One thing is, I'm original from Panama, naturalized American citizen. So the migra, The media can still pick me up, right?
Sure.
And they may still say, hey, born in Panama, American citizen will still kick you out, but they'll have a harder time doing it. But here's the thing. Over here, we know how to suffer in silence. That's one thing I noticed. In Panama, when things going wrong, everybody know, man, no puedo hacer esto, things are crazy. In America, people suffer in silence. People just stay quiet. They stay inside. They don't say anything.
Well, not everybody.
The rich don't suffer.
Yeah.
The rest of us do. The
Right.
1% doesn't
Good
suffer.
point.
Right, good point.
9% are not doing as well, and it could be better. It's just a matter of, but this country has long enjoyed capitalism,
Yes.
whether that's you enjoy it or not. And so that's, we're still in that, and we haven't haven't shaken ourselves from that. We're not yet ready, it seems, as a country.
I think, but
to accept socialism.
it's that's the problem. Don't call it socialism.
That's what it is. Why not?
No, but what I'm saying,
Not true
you see,
socialism, no.
socialism has a
Not true
connotation, right?
Yeah.
You ask people to tell
That's
you
not
what.
true socialism.
You ask people to tell you what you want. Ask them. You ask people what they want. If what they want turns out to be something you want to call socialism, so be it. If something you want to call communism, so be it. I call it nothing. I go ahead and say, what is it that you want? You want healthcare for all? Great, let's do it. It works. You want to tax the wealthy guy because really he's making his money off your back? Yes, let's do it. You want to make sure that AI creates a 10-hour working week? Yes, let's do it. That's how it works. But then the reason they trick us into they polarize words.
Yeah.
And then all of us fight over words. We fight over the trans. We fight over the blacks. We fight over that. They mess with your mind. And that is what we got to get around. But anyway, sorry for taking up so much of your time.
Yes,
That's why you're here.
All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international issues to a complete misunderstanding of our economic and healthcare systems, are a direct result of a derelict mainstream media that too often bend over backwards to support corporate or bought politicians' wants as opposed to the people's needs for real information to make their lives better. Independent media is the only solution to inform truthfully and factually. Why? Because our loyalties are to you, the ones who fund us with small dollar contributions and subscriptions. Please consider supporting our independent media platforms by subscribing to our Egberto Off the Record newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's an investment that pays incalculable dividends.